I'm with Laura St Clair from Finland. Now, Israel has lots of volunteers in the land, and you've been volunteering in Tel Aviv. What have you been doing?
I've been volunteering in a center for prostitutes and drug addicts. It's called the Red Carpet Nail Center. And it's basically a day center that's open 2 times a week. And it's meant for prostitutes and drug addicts in the area of Tel Aviv.
Is there a big problem of drug addicts and prostitution in Tel Aviv?
Well, of course, I'm definitely not an expert on that since I've been here only for a couple of weeks or 2 months working in it. But yes, I would say that at least in that area where it's in the area of the bus station area, and it seems like there is a big problem. There is a lot of women, a lot of customers coming in the center at least. And even when you walk in the streets in that area, you can see users on the streets.
So they come to this center. What do they do in the center?
The center, we provide them with food. They can come and eat. They can come and sleep, have a rest. They can come have a shower, have clean clothes, clean underwear. And then also we provide them with pedicures and manicures if they want, and hairstyles or haircuts.
Is this something that they're really caught into and they can't get out?
I would say yes. Many of the women, you can really sense kind of this hopelessness over them. And of course, drugs. If you're addicted, you're addicted. It's a really harsh world. And even if you want to come out of it, it really requires a lot of prayer, a lot of work to come out of it. So yes, I think they are very caught.
Are they controlled by somebody else?
Well, it's hard to say, but there's of course many different kind of stories behind everyone. But it seems like there is a pimp almost with all of them, and maybe some of them have even started the job by somebody tricking them into it or forcing them to sell sex or giving them drugs and controlling them through that. So I would say yes, there is that happening in that industry, definitely.
Is there woman trafficking in Israel?
Yes. There is trafficking in all the countries of the world, but Israel is one of the biggest places of trafficking, yes.
So people have actually people come from another country and ended up in Israel and ended up in this lifestyle?
Yes. There's women from East Europe and from Russian-speaking countries are some of them have been maybe tricked here with the false promise of a job, and then they end up having to sell their bodies or do something, forced to do some kind of other. Of course, there's other kind of forms of trafficking too than sex working, but yes, there is that has been happening.
So is this center vital for the community?
It seems so. The women really appreciate it, and they really love the workers there, and they get along really well. And many of the women say that, I heard a couple of times them saying that it's a place where they don't get condemned or judged or looked down at. Because I think, if you're in prostitution and you're using drugs, the society, you're kind of the outcast of the society, but this is the place where they can feel like they can be part of something and they can be treated well and they can get some joy into their life as well, and hope.
Is it difficult for you personally to be working with women like this?
Well, yes and no. I really feel in a way I feel I'm called to it, so I like working in this kind of work because I feel like God has called me to do it. So I think then also if you have a calling for it, God gives you the grace and strength to do it. But of course, sometimes it is hard because you see a lot of difficult things. You see a lot of hopelessness. So it's really kind of important to try not to go into it because then you can't really help a lot. So try to during my years of working with refugees or prostitutes or victims of trafficking, I've learned to appreciate the small victories and the small things. So you can't do a lot. You can't maybe change somebody's life, but you can smile to them and make their day a bit better. So you need to appreciate the small things you can do.
Do these women come in with stories, and or have you heard of stories of the women that came in?
Well, at this time around, not really. I didn't, in a way, intentionally, I didn't sort out to make relationship with these women so much because I knew I'm only here for 7 weeks with them. So I didn't want to create kind of a deep bond because I would just be going away. So I think it's better if they actually talk more with the people who are here. permanently so that they can have like a more lasting relationship. So I didn't hear any life stories at this time around.
I imagine their lifestyle is very dangerous. One, taking drugs, and two, working for someone in the sex trade. It can be very dangerous as well.
Yeah, and you can see like sometimes they came quite like bruised or dirty to the center, and one day there was like this woman who came straight. She had spent the night in the hospital because she had tried to kill herself, and she came straight to the center. But it was amazing. We were able to pray for her and give her food, and she could take a shower, and like we were able to like speak life over her and say that like, come on, don't do this. There's hope.
So really, you're actually bringing dignity to these women, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's because we're all created. It's basically just grace that differs, that I'm not in that situation, you know? So like we're all worth the same dignity, whatever we do, or how else, or however our life has ended up to be. So they are also created as the image of God, just as I am. So definitely I think that they're not any less valuable than somebody else, or like who's working in the government or something. Like these people are the same to me in a way, and I think it's important to show it to them as well. They just have made poor life choices, or they even maybe have had poor circumstances in the beginning of their lives, and their life has just ended up in this path. But I think it's important to show them that they're still loved, they're still valuable, and they can still make better choices, and there's always like a chance to change.
Now you came here to volunteer in Israel. Do you do this sort of work back in Finland?
Yeah, I've been, as a professional, I've been working with drug addicts in Finland as well, in a place where they can come and exchange their needles, because that's like the city says that there needs to be a service like that to reduce harms so that diseases don't spread, anything like that. So they get clean needles, and then we provide them with food as well. And it's a Christian-based organization, so we also offer prayer to them. But then I have also been involved in starting an NGO in Finland called Valo ei orjuudelle. It means light, no to slavery. And it's an like anti-trafficking group. Like we raise awareness about human trafficking. We hold events like where we invite speakers to talk about trafficking or working with trafficking victims. And then we do schoolwork. We go to schools and like tell students about trafficking and how they can avoid it and how they can fight it.
This must be a big problem in Finland as well, is it?
Well, yes, there is, like I mentioned, there is trafficking in all the countries of the world, but Finland it's quite hidden in Finland, and it's more rare to find a trafficking victim that would be Finnish, but also that can happen, and I understood it has happened a couple of times. But Finland is more like transfer country, and also like somewhat it's a destination country for victims.
Do these women come to you with their stories?
Well, we haven't met like any. We like in our street work in Lahti, in the city I'm from. We go to the Thai massage places because that's mostly like where the prostitution happens in Finland, and to the sex shops. And we go there and we try to kind of like form a relationship with these women who are in vulnerable places. But so far, like our work is quite young, so we haven't actually met anyone who would have like come forth and said to us yet that, hey, there is this problem or anything like that. And but like, for instance, just before I came to Israel, I heard about the story of actually 2 Moldovan guys who had been trafficked to Finland. It wasn't sex work, it was that they were trafficked to pick berries. So they were forced in Finland, their passports were taken away, they were forced to live in a horrible condition, and they were beaten, and they weren't letting them go back to Thailand. They were forced to pick berries. But finally they got freed and they returned to their country. But
modern day slavery, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's modern day slavery, yes.
Why do you do what you do?
Good question. I think it's like, I don't know, it's just stuff with justice has always just stirred my heart. I think that all, like I kind of said already, that all people are created equal, and I think we should all be able to be free to make our own choices and have, like, feel loved and have the dignity that we're supposed to have as the images of God. And if I have it, then I want to use my life to kind of help others who don't maybe have it. I think it's maybe also a calling from God to my life, because I know that when I'm doing it, I feel alive. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
What's your prayer finally for these women that are caught up here in Israel in this lifestyle?
So definitely that they could be freed, that they could be freed inside, in their hearts, from the bondage that's like kind of forcing them to do bad choices, or where they don't feel loved. Like that they could be freed and they could receive love and understand that they're valuable, but also that they could be free also in the physical, like free from drugs, or free if they're like forced into this, that they could be freed and find real kind of life. Yeah.
Okay, Laura, thank you very much.
You're welcome.